Hi guys, Jean Ann here with healthwithjason.com, and today we're going to talk about how to use your energy wisely. For people who have chronic illnesses, it is a constant struggle to decide what should I participate in, what can I participate in, how far should I push myself, what are the consequences of pushing myself, etc., etc. So it's important to have a little bit of a formula for deciding, you know, am I going to do this thing in front of me? Because if you don't think about it ahead of time, you're going to end up doing a whole bunch of things that you didn't necessarily feel were important, and missing out on other things that are important because you're too tired, too sore, too fill in the blank to go. So one thing to consider, first of all, is what does your week look like? And sometimes you can't even do that. It says too far out. Maybe what do the next 2 to 3 days look like? If you know that you have multiple family things to do, like maybe there's a recital, maybe there's a basketball game, maybe there's a giant homework project coming up, you need to pace yourself and start thinking about, okay, this is my week. How am I going to plan my days around? Obviously, if you don't have control of how your illness affects your body, which most of us don't have complete control of that, then it's going to be harder to kind of stick to a specific schedule. But you can use that kind of as your rule of thumb. And you can switch days. Like if on Thursday you realize I am not going to be cleaning the house today because I don't feel well, maybe you can switch Thursday for Friday and do whatever you had planned on Friday on Thursday. Now these are just events. You also have to think in terms of priorities. So you've got these scheduled events, but what are your priorities? And I think this is a bigger picture question. Are you prioritizing work? Are you prioritizing your family? Are there certain kind of sub-family categories that are important, like time with your partner, like romance, private time, where just the two of you can connect? Or are there, you know, specific nights of the week where you always have pizza night and it's a big family, you know, tradition? Or, you know, you cook dinner every Sunday afternoon and everybody gets around the table and has a good time together as a family. So it's important to think about priorities: work, family, pets, extended family, entertainment for yourself, you know, like downtime where you get to do just, you know, the things that you enjoy, and also rest. And really, in order to do anything else, rest has to always be higher on the priority scale than almost everything else. Because if you want to have the energy to go out and, you know, and recuperation time, rest and recuperation. You may have rested before that basketball game, but after an hour on a hard bench with that pounding basketball going in your head the whole time, you're like, I need a nap, people. So your best bet is to space some things out. Just because you feel great one day, don't try to do 8 million things that day. It ain't gonna work, peeps. It is not going to work. Do you not love it that me as a 44-year-old suburban mom says peeps? So behind the times. Anyway, so you think about your priorities. Now, let's say you've got your priorities in your week and something new and exciting comes up. This could be a short-term thing, this could be a long-term thing, but let's just say it comes up. Before you say yes, even though this thing seems like the greatest thing since clean underwear, before you say yes, you need to think, okay, what are my priorities? Family, rest, work, dog, you know, whatever. And how does this thing fit in with these? Do you like how I'm doing hand signals? Anyway, how do they fit together? If it doesn't fit with your top 3 or 4 priorities, it doesn't really matter how great it is. Gotta take a back seat. You can't do everything that you want to do all of the time. In fact, most people can't. It's just that people with chronic illness are more aware of the fact that they cannot. We are not superheroes. We are not Wonder Woman. We are not Borg. Know what I'm saying? So be conscientious and do not ever feel bad about not participating in something because it pushes your body too hard or stresses you too much. That said, push your body hard and stress yourself. I mean, not extremely, but I find for me that sometimes even though I don't feel like doing something, if I get up and do a little bit of something, then it kind of warms my body up and gets me ready for the day, and then I'm able to do more. And this is where you really need to know your body. You need to know, the difference between I'm kind of an day where I'm a little bit tired versus I'm having, raging pain and I can't function. Obviously, on those days, don't push yourself because there's nothing that's going to happen, but you're going to feel worse. But on days when you're just kind of, I have to overcome myself in order to do something because I'm my biggest blockade, then those are the days that you want to push yourself a little bit. Really. Because if you get to the point where you're not doing anything, where you're super sedentary, then it makes it harder to do things in the future. So the less you do, the less you do. Keep that in mind. Again, balance. Balance is a big deal. Balance between rest and exertion. Balance between your needs, your family's needs, your body's needs. There's several priority balance. There's lots of things. Anyway, I think probably one of the most difficult things for me is the psychology of being active or of participating. Being active makes it sound like I run marathons. Being active for me might be getting out of bed and going to dinner. Really, everybody's got their own situation. But the battle is most often waged in my mind. And I have equal parts guilt and stress about not doing something when I am not feeling well. And I have equal parts stress and guilt for not doing something, and stress and anxiety for doing something that I know my body can't do. So I have both those things going on in my brain, and my brain is like, you really should get up and do something. Whoops, you really should get up and do something. This side's going, you really should take a nap. What if you do too much? You're going to be too tired. If you don't do enough, you're not going to have muscle tone. You're going to end up an invalid. I mean, just like this back and forth. People will think that you're lazy. People will think that you just don't want to participate. And I think maybe 70% of living with fibromyalgia is the battle that's waged in my mind. And whether it's coping with pain, coping with symptoms, etc., or trying to decide and determine how I can live an abundant and full life even though I'm flat on my back most of the time. I mean, it really is. It's a game that's played in the head. It's a war that's fought and conquered in the mind. And so when I get to that part where I'm like, what am I doing? I can't make a decision. I get stuck, and I'm like, ah! And so I default to my priorities. And I also talk it over with my partner. I'm like, listen, here's what I'm thinking of doing. What do you need me for in the next 2 to 3 days? Because that can immediately have an impact on my decision making and my planning. If my partner says, well, we're going to go out to dinner with our friends on Saturday, remember? And they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, well then Saturday I need to lay low and not go to, Ulta or wherever I'm going to go. And then I'll save that for another day. And then I'll make sure that I take a nap and get rest earlier in the day. So anyway, all of that is to say that you need to develop a system to make decisions, because you cannot rely solely on how you feel in the moment to decide if you can do something. Because if you rely on that, you might end up not doing anything. And that means that you don't participate in life at all, outside of not even outside of your walls, outside of your bed. So I completely understand not being able to do much, not being able to do everything, but you can do something. And you need to decide for yourself what your priorities are, what your schedule is like, and how you're going to make those decisions when they arrive, not based on whether you feel guilty, ashamed, or incompetent in the moment. Because listen, honey, if there is something that you want to do, then there is a way to make it happen. You just have to have the right accommodations. So anyway, I would love to hear what you have to say about this. What's your schedule like? How do you manage it? Do you do things? Do you leave the house? How do you what shortcuts do you take to get things done that need to be done? Get things done that need to be done so they're done? Like for example, I have a grocery delivery service. No energy wasted there. Okay, leave me comments below. Please subscribe and like and tell your friends and their friends and so on and so on and so on. Bye-bye.